Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Now we will go to item number 7 on the orders of the day. The first one is the debate on the report by the MEC for Transport, Community Safety and Liaison on the plans and progress by the KZN provincial government with regard to investment in public transport infrastructure, as well as on the work done with the taxi industry to transform the industry by supporting initiatives that will ensure safety, cleanliness, and provision of quality service within the industry, noting that October is a transport month. The first speaker for 9 minutes is the Honorable J.S. Mumalo of the ANC. Zwide will be joining us on the virtual platform.
Andibingelele somlomo. Ngibingelele uNdunankulu isifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal, ubaba uKhuzeni. Ngibingelele ongqongqoshe bonke abakhona. Ozakwethu abamalungu esishayamithetho saKwaZulu-Natal. Ama-official nabo bonke abakhona kulo mhlangano obalulekile wesishayamithetho. Angiqale ngidlulise amazwi enduduzo kujoyina uNdunankulu nawe somlomo emndenini ethe yalahlekelwa engozini enyantisa igazi eyenzekile ngasendaweni yaseMelmoth. Lapha kushone khona abantu abayishumi-3. Sithi emndenini elahlekelwe mabalale ngenxeba akwehlanga lungehlanga. Kodwa okubuhlungu kakhulu somlomo ukuthi kwenzeka lokhu nje ngesikhathi esibalulekile ngokohlelo lwezokuthutha okuyinyanga ka-October la kugqugquzelwa khona ezokuthutha nokuphepha eNingizimu Afrika. Manje lokhu sikubona njengento embi ecekela phansi umsebenzi omkhulu osuwenziwe ngaphansi kwalomnyango ongamelwe ubaba uMphemba ukuqinisekisa ukuthi abantu bakithi baphephile ngaso sonke isikhathi. Kanjalo futhi kwenzeka lokhu emva kwesikhathi nje esifishane la sibone khona kwenzeka izingozi ezifanayo ezinyantisayo njengoba sibonile kwenzeka ingozi endaweni yaseMpolweni phakathi koMgungundlovu noMshwathi la kwashona khona futhi kwalimala nabantu abaningi. Kwaphinda futhi kwenzeka ingozi endaweni yase-Underberg ngaseBhulwa nakhona okushone khona abantu abaningi bomndeni odwa akade befihlwa ngempelasonto edlule. Ngakho-ke siyahambisana kakhulu nongqongqoshe, siyameseka futhi ukuthi enze konke okusemandleni ukuqinisekisa ukuthi abantu bakithi baphephile emgaqweni ngazo zonke izikhathi. Futhi siyahambisana nokuthi kuxoxiswane nemboni yezokuthutha ematekisini, iSantakho ikakhulukazi, mayelana nohlelo lokuqeqesha abashayeli emgaqweni. Ngoba iningi labantu bakithi baseNingizimu Afrika, ikakhulukazi abantu abasuka ey'ndaweni zasemalokishini nasey'ndaweni zasemakhaya, basebenzisa lolu hlelo lwemboni yezokuthutha okungamatekisi. Kodwa futhi kumele kube khona okwenziwayo ngendaba yabashayeli abashayela amaloli, ngoba nabo kuyabonakala ukuthi isikhathi esiningi uma ngabe kukhona ingozi ekhona cisho kuba ukuthi itekisi lapho i-involved ingene, mangeyona itekisi bese uthola ukuthi i-truck. Ngakho-ke siyanxusa kakhulu ukuthi kube khona okwenziwayo ukuqeqesha abashayeli esengibabalulile ngaphezulu. Angisho somlomo ukuthi ezokuthutha zibaluleke kakhulu kulesi sifundazwe sakithi saKwaZulu-Natal kanjalo naseNingizimu Afrika, ngoba zenza ukuthi kube lula ukuthi abantu bakithi bafinyelele emsebenzini kanjalo nasey'ndaweni la behlala khona, futhi kwenza ukuthi kube lula ukuxhumana kwemiphakathi eyahlukahlukene. Ngakho-ke siyawuncoma kakhulu umsebenzi osuwenziwe nguhulumeni oholwa inhlangano yethu ye-African National Congress, ukhongolose, uqinisekisa ukuthi imigwaqo ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya kanjalo namabhriji okuhamba ngezinyawo nezimoto uyakhiwa ukuze kube lula ukuthi abantu bakithi bakwazi ukuthi bafinyelele ey'ndaweni la kumele bafinyelele khona. Ngeke futhi sakhohlwa ukuthi ey'ndaweni eziningi bekungahambeki ngale ndlela ukuthi uthola ukuthi iy'ngane zesikole ezinye azikwazi ukuba zifinyelele ezikoleni uma ngabe izulu liningi ngenxa yokuthi amabhriji ebengekho. Kodwa namhlanje siyakujabulela kakhulu ukuthi iy'ndawo eziningi sezikwazile ukuthi zakhelwe amabhriji. Ngakho-ke iy'ngane zesikole seziyakwazi uba nothisha zifinyelele ezikoleni kanjalo nemiphakathi yakulezo y'ndawo ikwazi ukuba ifinyelele ey'ndaweni la bafisa ukuba bafinyelele khona. Konke-ke lokhu sukushayela kakhulu ihlombe ngoba kwenza umehluko omkhulu kubantu bakithi abahlala ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya, nanokuthi ukwenza impilo zabantu bakithi zibe ngcono. Kodwa-ke futhi siyavuma ukuthi usemkhulu umsebenzi okumele ukuthi wenziwe ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya, la kubonakala khona ukuthi ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya inqalasizinda abantu bakithi basasalele emuva kakhulu. Ngakho-ke sikushayela ihlombe ukutshalwa kwezimali ilo mnyango ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya ey'fana nakoJozini, ey'fana nakoNongomo, ey'fana nako-Vryheid, ey'fana nako-Herigwala nakwezinye iy'ndawo la sibona khona kukhona ama-project azolekelela abantu bakithi ukuthi bathole ezokuthutha ngendlela okuyiyona yona. Konke lokhu kuwumsebenzi emihle esiyishayela ihlombe kakhulu. Angisho-ke somqondo ukuthi ngakwelinye icala sikujabulela kakhulu futhi ukuthi kukhona izinhlelo ezaqalwa ey'fana no-Go Durban eThekwini kanjalo nako-Msunduze eMgungundlovu ezibizwa ngokuthi i-Rapid Transport Network System, ngoba zonke lezi zinhlelo zizokwenza ukuthi kube lula ukuxhumanisa imiphakathi yakulezi ndawo kanjalo futhi yenze ukuthi nomnotho wala madolobha ikwazi ukuthi isimame. Konke lokhu kuyizinhlelo ezinhle ezizokwenza ukuba kuthuthukiswe umnotho esifundazweni sakithi saKwaZulu-Natal. Sengivala somlomo, angisho ukuthi uma ngabe umuntu ehamba ey'ndaweni zasemakhaya kuyabonakala ukuthi liseningi igebe elikhona la kubonakala khona ukuthi eminye imigwaqo eminingi ayikabi sesimeni esifanelekile. Ngakho-ke lokhu kuyosiza kakhulu ekutheni umnyango uqhubeke utshale izimali ezindaweni zasemakhaya ukuze nale migwaqo le engakabi sesimeni ikwazi ukuba ilungiswe ngendlela ekuyiyona yona ukuze abantu bakithi basizakale bakwazi futhi ukuthi bafinyelele ey'ndaweni la kumele bafinyelele khona kanjalo nasemsebenzini ney'ngane zikwazi ukuba zifinyelele esikoleni. Ngiyabonga kakhulu somlomo ngethuba onginikeze lona Kodwa sibonge kakhulu futhi umsebenzi uwenziwa ungqongqoshe ubaba uMphemba ngaphansi kwalo mnyango ukwenza isiqiniseko sokuthi ezokuthutha zibekwa ekhulwini esifundazweni saKwaZulu-Natal ukuze silekelele ekutheni sithuthukise umnotho kulesifundazwe. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you, Honorable Member, Honorable Ngumalo. I would like to call upon to the podium, Honorable from the IFP, Honorable Moodley, to debate for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, Honorable MEC, Honorable Members. As we commemorate Transport Month, we need to acknowledge that the alarming high road deaths. Just yesterday, we were shocked and saddened by yet another horrific accident on the R66 between Wulundi and Melmoth, between a truck and a minibus taxi. 16 people, including an unborn baby, perished in this latest road carnage. Causes of these horrendous accidents must be thoroughly investigated and decisive action taken to end the scourge of road deaths or at best minimize it. The IFP records its heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of the deceased and pray for the speedy and complete recovery of those injured. High levels of corruption and apathy from officials as well as understaffing remain a grim reminder that we have serious challenges within the department. The Honorable Premier stated that from the time of the COVID pandemic, there has been 107 road fatalities. This to us as IFP is seriously alarming, as even a single death is one death too many. While we acknowledge that the Honorable MEC Becky Ntuli has made significant strides to address the woes of the department, a lot remains to be done. The IFP welcomes and supports any tangible initiatives by the KZN provincial government with regards to investment in public transport infrastructure. We are cognizant that this is at the heart of any nation's economic prosperity. To this end, we are concerned about the painfully slow and poor progress of many road infrastructure projects across the province. One such project is at Msunduzi, where it has been reported that the work of the integrated rapid public transport network in Pietermaritzburg's Moses Mabhida Road may be altered, as the Msunduzi municipality needs another 100 million to pay for work that is currently underway. This came after the municipality successfully applied to the National Treasury for a rollover of around 90 million that had not been used, and the municipality now needs to raise a further 150 million to pay for its work on the Moses Mabhida Road. Contractors have not been paid between the months of June and August. The 3.2 billion rand project has been hanging by a thread since February this year, when Treasury announced a reduction of the funding for 3 years due to the shocking poor progress. The IFP urges the Department of Transport and Treasury to make funds available for the completion of this project. Public funds have already been invested, and abandoning this project will be nothing but wasteful expenditure and disastrous to the Pietermaritzburg communities. It is also unacceptable that people employed to do the job have been failed, resulting in intervention from a team from eThekwini to assist. The IFP would like to know from the Honorable MEC how much will be paid to this team. We also expect the department not to underspend its budgets as it did in the previous financial year, where it underspent the budget by 265.94 million due to delays in transport infrastructure projects. The ongoing violent protests in many communities demanding proper road infrastructure should serve as a wake-up call that there is no need not to fully utilize the budget. In the recent accident that claimed multiple lives, it was found out that the minibus was not registered as a taxi. This speaks directly to the prevalence of corruption and the problem of corrupt officials. It is also clear that the RTI officials hold transport operators to ransom, demanding huge sums of money. Where fines are supposed to be issued, the vehicles are impounded in the case where the vehicles is loaded with cargo. We are also aware that RTI officers use official vehicles to accompany drivers, who then withdraw money which they pay as a bribe. In the event the drivers don't pay the requested bribe, the discs are removed as a threat for the drivers to pay the bribe. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the corruption that has tainted the department. The list of wrongdoing goes on, Honorable Premier and Honorable MEC. No wonder that KZN is a province which records the highest festive season fatalities. We also urge the MEC to end the blight of nepotism, cadre deployment, and corruption that stalks the department. Incompetent people in responsible posts is a recipe for disaster. We need to weed out corrupt and inefficient officials and ensure only those qualified, competent, and committed will occupy posts in the department. The Honorable MEP spoke about negative effects on the COVID-19 on the taxi industry. We concur with the Honorable MEC that the taxi industry has been left out in the cold by the department when it comes to subsidies, although it plays a major role in the transportation of commuters.
Your time is up,
Thank
Honorable
you.
Member. Thank you, Honorable Member. Next will be Honorable S. Hussain from DA, who will be speaking for 8 minutes. Honorable Hussain.
Honorable Speaker, the Democratic Alliance wishes to extend our condolences who have lost loved ones in the crash this week on the R34, where a taxi and a truck collided, killing 16 people. These accidents are happening too frequently, and whatever the circumstances were, we continue to lose people on our roads. We cannot shy away from the fact that this province needs more law enforcement officers. Hopefully now that we're going into the peak season, that our agency will fast track the filling of vacancies in RTI so that visible patrols on our roads will increase. Madam Speaker, 26 years of democracy, and there is no doubt that there has been massive improvements in the public transport infrastructure. Many communities who were previously disadvantaged under the apartheid government can now enjoy decent roads connecting them to schools, clinics, hospitals, jobs, and other neighboring communities. But in order to continuously grow without fail, ensuring decent services for people in KZN, it is essential that where there are problems, it is dealt with immediately and not left to simmer for years on end before finally fixing a system that is so damaged that it cannot operate any longer. Therefore, Madam Speaker, when individuals deter from the plan of providing a safe, integrated, reliable, and affordable transport public system, the MEC must be quick in rooting out poor, corrupt, fraudulent performers and not wait for them to benefit and pocket millions of rands and then dismiss without any action taken or monies recovered. So today, Madam Speaker, I'm going to reflect on how the poor performance of officials have created a disaster around the taxi industry. Greedy, corrupt officials and politicians still want to get in on the action to mess a system that could have been easily monitored and managed. So the disaster faced in the taxi industry is a true reflection of corrupt interference, which has filtered down and contributed to a disruptive, corrupt and mismanaged public transport system. A good example is the upset in the taxi industry, where taxi drivers, owners, and innocent passengers have died due to continuous violence that has erupted. Whenever violence erupts, we hear of a task team being set up to investigate and bring calm to the chaos. To date, no one has had any sight of any task team reports on the interventions derived, yet we continue to see innocent passengers who are sole breadwinners and children commuting to school dying because of the taxi violence. The saga of taxi violence started years ago, but no one in the leadership structure of this province actually wanted to fix this industry. Yet, instead of proactive approaches, the behavior towards this crisis was always reactive. So what is the real reason for this constant disruption in the public transport system, and who is to blame? I will summarize briefly. In 1997, government tried to legalize all taxi operators to route permits, encouraging law-abiding citizens in a safe public transport environment, initiated a campaign called Be Legal. Shortly thereafter, in an effort to now make passengers a priority, providing safe, roadworthy vehicles and further ensuring compliance on the roads, government initiated Operation Shanele. The campaign sought to ensure passengers were treated with dignity, drivers followed route-based permits, and most importantly, non-compliance meant that the permit will be withdrawn. Had this campaign been aggressively enforced, KZN would have had 0 illegal taxi operators. And had there been competent senior officials managing this process of permit applications, KZN would not have had a backlog. Instead, This has led to taxi operators protesting against this campaign. In this pressurizing situation, senior official leaders slowly drove away from this effective campaign and chose to give in to illegal operators. Fast forward to 22 years later, 7 million rand was lost due to a scheme that was operating under our MEC's nose, where officials were selling route permits to taxi operators. And because of this, taxi violence increased, but so too has the number of deaths of innocent passengers. To date, no one has questioned the senior managers who clearly were incompetent to hold office on this dysfunctional process of issuing operating license in KZN. KZN senior leaders wait on the Hawks to intervene, and in this case, after 7 million rands wasted of taxpayers' money. Madam Speaker, a 17-year-long Go Durban project commenced in 2013 to be completed by 2030, which would have provided world-class transport system conveniently connecting commuters to various parts of the city. This highly integrated transport network required professional city planners together with highly skilled people who would be part of a work stream so that the goal of completing this project by 2030 is achievable, costing over 20 million rand. In fact, if you log on to the Go Durban website, it will tell you that by 2030, Go Durban will shape the city into a globally recognized world-class destination. Someone needs to inform them that the project needs another 25 years to complete, which is an estimated year of completion now by 2045. Many of the people who are already involved in this project might not be around to see this project complete. Apart from the delays in the completion date, the project has been rife with many problems. I'll give you 6 reasons why. The city could not spend the budget that was allocated to them. Last year, the city underspent on this project by 309 million rand, which was returned to Treasury. In 2018, the first 3 phases were supposed to be up and operational. Instead, the go live dates kept moving. In 2018, the AG said the municipality was paying even when work was not done, and the project was delayed. Shortcomings in the tender contracts, downing of tools, laborers' constant protest, and let's not forget the contribution of the taxi industry who stopped projects and were closing sites, causing more delays. After spending over 3 billion rand on this project, not a single bus purchased was actually running. The Honorable Gumede, the member who is on special leave right now, the former mayor of eThekwini, launched the Moja Cruise taxi program in 2018 with 500 taxi operators costing the city millions, with the promise to integrate over 6,000 operators into the Go Durban plan. The effectiveness of this campaign is anyone's guess as to where the oversight has been on this project. Clearly, it seems that the taxi operators have not been integrated and are tired of waiting and are here to collect. So after the MEC tabled his report in the House last week, he tried to conduct an oversight on the state of readiness on the Go Durban project, only to be stopped and locked in an office in Pinetown because taxi operators wanted to be heard. How embarrassing was that when taxi operators had the power to bring the Pinetown city centre to a standstill because they were being ignored? Can you see the picture forming of the future Go Durban project? If taxi operators have the power to stop work from being conducted in the city, of what value is a world-class project that will not be safe in the hands of people who have benefited the most? Thank you.
Member, the next speaker will be from the AFF, who will speak for 6 minutes. That will be Honorable G.F. Mjali.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greeting to the Premier, honorable members. Siqale ngokuphephisela imndeni elahlekelwe zihlobo engozini ehlasimulisa umgwaqo, ehlasimulisa igazi yenzeke emgwaqeni R33 izolo phakathi koLundi neMelmote. Sengathi imphefumulo yabo ingalala ngokuthula. The collective effort of the ANC over the last 26 years are in shameful and insult to the lives lost, in confrontation of inequality and structure discrimination that was apartheid. As we scrutinize the plan and progress by the KZN provincial government, with regard to investment in public transport infrastructure, as well as on the work done with the taxi industry investment to transform the industry through supporting initiatives that will ensure safety, cleanliness, and provision and equality service within the industry. As much as we welcome the fact that provincial government is beginning to understand and tap into the economy and social potential of the public transport sector as one of the most important sectors in the lives of ordinary people. The untapped economic potential has also come at the price of significantly unregulated sector. People have been deprived of a dignified public service beyond even the public transport system fragmentation, the lack of political will to drive changes in public transport infrastructure speaks directly to that fact that improving the state of the taxi industry as the biggest commuter of the working class citizen of this country has been a plan of the ruling party and the current administration. Programs like this are only initiated by the ANC for the financial benefit of those highest to the public transport facilities completed in the past few years have been part of questionable financial statement that has been flagged by the Auditor General report. At Ulundi facility, which was constructed at a value of 30 million, KwaNongoma public transport facility was valued at 22 million. Emondlo public transport facility, which was constructed at a value of 20 million. KwaMaphumulo public transport facility, which was valued at 17 million. Escort facility, which was constructed at a value of 82 million. At the latest, Umzimkhulu public transport facility, which is under construction and is at a value of 85 million. Nonetheless, we welcome the public transport network and its establishment in the transport infrastructure project aimed at changing the face of public transport in the province. The taxi industry has always been the major commuter public transport system in the province. This partnership has been officialized by signing a memorandum of agreement between the department and South African National Taxi Council, SANTACO in KwaZulu-Natal. Is a necessary step in the right direction, especially ensuring that the taxi industry is as well as regulated, safe, provides quality service, and complies with government regulation. With that said, we must harshly condemn the manner in which the taxi industry has responded to the new normal brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. The lack of accountability and active irresponsibility of the state has allowed the taxi industry and the peak of COVID-19 to load people at 100% without PPEs and the necessary observation of social distancing and sanitizers. This is both recklessness and irresponsible for the state and endangers the very poor of the poorest that are the majority users of the taxi industries. As the EFF, we need and we request the minister to aggressively and quickly address the lapse in judgment and endangerment of commuters, especially now that there is an exit, a tangible MOA. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Next will be our speaker from the NFP, who will speak for 2 minutes, Honorable V.R. Mlojo.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, nathi sithi asibhongele emswaneni ngokwenzekile sizwelana nabo kakhulu. Honorable Chair, we circle with a call for continuation with the upgrade of Etindale Road in Msunduzi. However, it is very disturbing to note that the national government had taken the decision to withhold the grant for the next 3 years. This is not fair and it is irrational, noting that lomgwaqo iwona oxhumanisa amalokishi akhele uMsunduzi. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chair, a troubling issue of criminals using technology to lure young, unexpected women by misrepresenting themselves as Uber drivers remains unsolved. As NFP, we demand the government's intervention by regulating this transportation network, companies existing without physical address, by having a database of registered Uber drivers for background check and investigate suspicious perpetrators. As people of KwaZulu-Natal, we note the decision taken by the department to work on rolling out a program of transforming the association to formal business entities. This will allow the taxi industry to grow significantly and with a guarantee of more job creation for the taxi owners and the informal traders that currently do business with the rank facilities. We invite the Department of Employment and Labor to regulate the taxi rank and ensure that all drivers have employment contract and are registered with the UIF and other government benefits available for employees. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. My apologies that your time has lapsed.
Akulungiswe le mdlwane.
I therefore call to the podium the honorable member from the African National Congress to speak for 9 minutes. Honorable MC Fraser.
Thank you, Chair. Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, the Premier and your Executive, honorable members, compatriots, I greet you all. Madam Speaker, thank you very much for affording me this opportunity to speak on the critical debate which looks at the welfare of the people of KwaZulu-Natal and the state of transport. Madam Speaker, it is a fact that prior to 1994, the people in KwaZulu-Natal had limited means of transport. However, our people are now spoiled for choice on which mode of transport to use, thanks to the ANC-led government. Speaker, allow me to dedicate this debate to all the victims of COVID-19 pandemic, GBV/F, and to those of road accidents. I would also like to take a moment at this point in time to wish our Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, and his wife, Dr. Mashego Mkhize, a speedy recovery. Speaker, allow me to further take a moment to shine light on a critical issue which affects particularly the women of our country. We are a country in mourning because of the man-made shadow pandemic called gender-based violence and femicide. Like all women in South Africa, I am unable to keep quiet and turn a blind eye when our sisters and children are brutally killed day in, day out. Young boys, Speaker, are molested by those they trust the most. The commodification of women that we witness in our country is unbearable. This foreign tendency and mentality to our men that a human being can be bought must come to an end. Some men believe that the mere fact that he has spent money on a woman gives him a right to control what happens to be her body afterwards. Showering women with materialistic possessions, including cars is no longer out of appreciation, but it has been turned into an investment whose sole purpose is to secure sexual favors in return at the later stage. If these favors are not returned, then women must lose their life because men have a sense of entitlement to women's bodies. We therefore, Madam Speaker, are making a plea to the real men on this august house to assist us towards fighting this pandemic. Somlomo yize sisibekelwe lezi zinkinga esizishilo ngenhla. Kubalekile ukuba sibungaze nokuhle okwenzakalayo KwaZulu-Natal. Lapha ngikhuluma ngezinhlelo ezivezwe ungqongqoshe ubaba uNtuli enkulumeni ayenze ngesonto eledlule. Lapho isivezele khona izinhlelo ezikhona kulomnyango osebenza kanzima ukuphucula uhlelo lozokuthutha lwabantu bakulesi sifunda olubukeka lushesha ngendlela eyisimanga. Lolu hlelo lubizwa ngokuthi Integrated Rapid Public Transport Network oluthulwe emadolobheni amabili amakhulu okuyiTheku noMgungundlovu. Lesi sinyathelo sizoba nomthelelo omuhle kakhulu kwizinhlelo zokuhweba kulamadolobha okufaka phakathi namanye amancane akhelene nawo. Somlomo siyaziqhayisa kakhulu singuhulumeni oholwa nguKhongolose ngohlelo olubizwa ngeGo Durban. Lolu hlelo luzoxhumanisa ngokushesha iPinetown, Claremont, Newlands, KwaMashu kanye nendawo yomaqaphuna kusale uMhlanga. Yize lolu hlelo lube nezinkinga zalo, sibonga kakhulu kungqongqoshe nakumkhandlu weTheku ukuthi nabesifazane bahlomulile kulolu hlelo. Lokho ke kusihlaba umxhwele singomama, impela uhulumeni kaKhongolose uyanakekela. Somlomo usibikelile ubaba uNtuli ukuthi umnyango unohlelo lwaseMgungundlovu oNdongazibovu lapho luyeza yize kusenezinhlelo ezithize esethemba ukuthi ngokubambisana komnyango kanye nomasipala waseMsunduzi kuzoshesha. Siyafisa ke Mphemba ukuthi nohlelo eniphezukalo lokuhlanganisa uMgungundlovu iTheku ukusondezela ukusetshenziswa kwesikhungo sezindiza esiqanjwe ngelembe leqamane yamalembe ngokukhalipha luzoshesha. Izinqophabuchopho zikaKhongolose emqulwini wango-1992 owawubhekisisa indlela uKhongolose azoyithatha uma usuphethe umbuso phecelezi i-ready to govern wawunemigomo emine. Ngizawuqaphula owodwa wawo othi to develop a sustainable economy and state infrastructure that will progressively improve the quality of life of all South Africans. Impela lokho kwenzakalayo kuzozishintsha izimpilo zabantu. Siyabonga Khongolose wabantu. Somlomo sithakasela kakhulu inkulumo kaNgqongqoshe ebikhuluma ngokwandiswa kwezindlela zokuthutha kwempahla. Siyacela kumnyango ukuthi ulubheke eduzane udaba lwezitimela olwake lwakhulunywa ngesikhathi esiphambilini. Siyawubonga kakhulu umnyango ngomsebenzi omuhle owenze laphaya emngceleni phakathi kwelikaMthaniya nelengonyama yamaswazi uSobhuza. Lo msebenzi uza kusiza ukuvimba ukuphuma nokungena kwezimpahla ngokungekho emthethweni okuzosiza kakhulu nokuthi uhulumeni ukwazi ukuqoqa imali yentela ezimpahleni ezingenayo ukuze kukhule umnotho kuphinde kuhlomule nalabo abangathathi inteni. Siyabonga kakhulu. Umqulu wenkululeko iFreedom Charter unesigatshana lapho ukhuluma khona ngomnotho ukuthi abantu komele babelane emnothweni wezwe. Lokhu ke kuyiphupho okumele lifezeke ikakhulukazi njengoba kuphethe uhulumeni owakhipha abantu bakulelizwe ebugqileni. Siyazi sonke ukuthi umkhakha wamabhasi ubugxile esizweni isodwa kodwa umbiko esilethelwe ungqongqoshe uveze ngokusobala ukuthi lokhu kuyashintsha kakhulu nabampisholo sebeyakwazi ukuthi bahlomule ohlelweni lokuthutha kwabantwana. Siyacela ke ngqongqoshe ukuthi uqhubeke nokubhekelela labo ababenganikiwe amathuba ngesikhathi esidlule. Siyawamkela nombiko wokuboshwa kwalabo abatholakale benza inkohlakalo ngokukhishwa kwezincwadi zemzila okungekho emthethweni. Uhulumeni kaKhongolose uyaziqhelelanisa nabantu abenza inkohlakalo. Ngakho ke umthetho awuthathe indawo yawo. Somlomo sengiphetha inkulumo yami ngithi angibalule ukuthi njengomhlali waKwaZulu-Natal ngibe nokukhuthala okukhulu lapho bengilalele khona inkulumo kaNdunankulu ayenze ePhalamende elikhulu izolo, lapho ekhulume khona ngezinhlelo eziningi ezizokwenzeka lapha KwaZulu-Natal ukunyusa izinga lomnotho, ezokuthuthwa kwempahla, ukusetshenziswa kwamachweba. Akusalanga nginesiqinisekiso sokuthi amaqhawe omzabalazo angasekho. Ngibala umama uVictoria Mxenge, umama uPromise Nyoka, umama uMaikethi Thipe, udadewethu uFeziwe Loliwe, udadewethu uKhansile Sibisi nabanye. Kuyabathokozisa lapho bekhona ukubona umbutho ushintsha izimpilo zabantu. Ngiyabonga kakhulu Somlomo.
Speaking.
So kube umhlonishwa u-S Thakur Rajbansi ezawuthatha imizuzu emibili. Honorable Thakur Rajbansi.
Thank you, Honorable MEC, Speaker and members. In 2017, together with the Nelson Mandela Medical School students, I embarked on a Pink City Transport March to the eThekwini Council, and the students handed the then Deputy Mayor Fawzia Peer a memorandum for the city to acknowledge and use in its IDP, to improve the intercity taxi transport system, both in design and operation. Medical students stated that many female patients suffered emotional scarring due to...
Order.
Honorable Rogers.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on a point of order that a memo was sent out 2 days ago instructing members that the background needs to be the legislature background for debates. I'm not sure what's in the background there. Thank you, Speaker.
I think it is a legislature background. Maybe you did not see properly. Honorable Rajbansi, I could clearly see your background. Continue sitting the way you were sitting.
Yes, I do have the legislature background. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Honorable Rajbansi, continue, my honorable member.
Okay. Medical students stated that many female students suffered emotional scarring due to molestation, rape, and other forms of abuse and violence using our public transport systems. The Minority Front recommends that the Department of Transport look at various models in Brazil and India and adopt what would work in South Africa. This would attract more women into the taxi industry as drivers. Furthermore, to reduce gender-based violence in India, there were regular stakeholder training for male taxi drivers, where a facilitator sensitizes them to fears and anxieties of female commuters and the absolute need for trust to be built in the taxi industry. These changes bode for far-reaching regulatory mechanisms to change behavior in both the public and private taxi industry operators and drivers. The outcomes would reduce not only gender-based violence, but also tragic road accidents. Other basic needs entail clean taxi ranks, public toilets and taxi shelters, and seats at taxi stops must be part of the IDP, Honorable MEC. So please engage with local government. With these words, the MF welcomes these profound positive safety changes to transform the taxi industry, Honorable MEC, whilst the MF expresses our deepest condolences to families who have lost loved ones on our roads. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker for 2 minutes is Honorable M.E. Pagati of the ATM.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable MEC, the ATM note and appreciate the Msunduzi rank Wi-Fi access point, which is not only going to benefit those businesses around the taxi rank, but also upgrade the informal sector, the informal economy, which we know that it employs a number of our people. Honorable MEC, the Goals Durban project, it is a wonderful project that aims to transform the transport industry. But at 8 p.m., we are saying, sicela ukuthi sikhulumisane nabo wonke ama-stakeholders ukuze lo msebenzi omkhulu kangaka nomuhle ozokwenza ezokuthutha zakithi besesimweni esiphezulu. Hlalwe phansi kukhulunywe kulungiswe izinto ngendlela efanelekileyo. Asibonge ngqongqoshe ukuthi nihlele indlela yokuthi bonke abazokuthutha bafundiswe banikezwe okuyikona kona ukuze bakwazi ukuphatha abantu bakithi ngendlela ekuyiyona yona. Ngqongqoshe asibonge umsebenzi owenzayo ukuzama ngaso sonke isikhathi ukuthi izingozi ezenzeke emgaqweni zinciphe lapho KwaZulu-Natal. Siphinde sidlulise kakhulu sikuzwelana nabo bonke abathe balahlekelwa imindeni yabo kulesi sikhathi lapha uLundi.
Honorable member. Thank you. The next member for 2 minutes is Honorable S.E. Manqele of the ACDP.
Ngibingelele Speaker, egameni lenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu. Speaker, njenge-ACDP usami sicela ukuzwakalisa ubuhlungu bo bonke ihlobo zethu ezilimele ngozinto zombili esizenzeka ezinkulu. Ngiyafisa ukusho ukuthi si-ACDP siyalwemukela uhlelo likaNgqongqoshe ukuthi kube khona ukulolonga kwabantu abasebenza embonini yezokuthutha. Uma belolonga labantu Ngqongqoshe,
Honorable Manqele, kunophakamise isiqondiso. Mhlonishwa Kika, Dr. Kika.
Madam Speaker, I rise on Rule 52, point of order. We can neither see the member nor the background.
You are?
We can neither see the member that is speaking nor the background.
Mhlonishwa utata uManqele, sicela uveze ubuso bakho.
Angazi Speaker ukuthi ngizokuveza kanjani ngoba konke okufanele ngikwenze la kwikhompyutha ngikwenzile, angazi fanele ngenze njani. Mina ngiyayibona futhi ngiyayibona laptop. Yep.
Mhlonishwa.
Yes.
Mhlonishwa.
Speaker.
Mhlonishwa. Sicela uveze ubuso.
Kanjani Speaker, ngenze njani? Ngoba Speaker,
angizumuzu umhlonishwa uManqele.
Yonke into Speaker lapha ngiyenzile ngokwekhompyutha yami, akukho engingakwenzile.
Mhlonishwa uManqele.
Speaker,
switch on your video.
It is switched on, Speaker. My video is on.
IT is the video on.
What else should I do?
Honorable Manqele, the IT is checking because The manner you are saying it is a little bit not the normal way we speak in the House.
I apologize, Speaker, if I've made a mistake, but I don't know what else should I do really. But if that is not acceptable, I really apologize. It wasn't my intention.
They are checking it that because there is no way that none of us can see the video here. In the meantime, because we've apologized in the manner of speaking, I think that if we can remember to always speak like we are adults speaking to other fellow adults before we think that we are speaking as honorable members. They are checking, and I am going to revert back to that. You can continue speaking, honorable member, in the interest of time. No, but now I already know, because what you are saying, Honorable Mwango, is on record. And I will not accept when you say you have challenges. You have said it in the House that ngeke uvele next time. And I will keep that against you.
IT will do a Teams view so that they can go into his computer while he's there.
Can we continue, Honorable Mangala?
Thank you, Speaker, although sengilimele emoyeni, but it's okay.
No, Honorable Mangala? Honorable Mangala?
Yes,
sit down. Honorable Mangala, take your seat.
Okay, ma'am.
Take your seat, Honorable Mangala. Take your seat, Honorable Mangala. Honorable Gola, come and debate. The next speaker is Honorable Mbigwala of the IFP for 5 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, nathi njenge-IFP sibonga emswaneni ngokufa kwabantu bengonyama emthonjaneni. USomandla abaphe ukuphumula kwaphakade. Honorable Speaker, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, the fourth and the current President of the Republic of Kenya, once said, and I quote, "If you really love your children, get a business, not a job. Because when you die, your children cannot inherit your job, but they can definitely inherit your business. In fact, if you die on the job, your boss will replace you before your burial. If your family live in the company house, they will kick them out before they can say anything. So when you close from work, don't go and watch television. Go home and think of a business idea," unquote, I close quote. It is important for the government to rethink how money is spent in designing public transport infrastructure. We commend the introduction of Go Durban in the eThekwini Metro, but we are concerned about this project as the first phase of the project, known as C3, which runs from Pinetown to KwaMashu's Bridge City Mall, has so far cost taxpayers over 3 billion rand, but it is not yet fully operational. The eThekwini municipality planned to start new bus system in September last year. However, a year later, it has gone nowhere. Taxi owners have repeatedly maintained that they would not let the project begin until their demands were met. We call for the speedy resolution of the negotiation process between the concerned taxi owners and the eThekwini municipality so that this project can be fully implemented as public funds have been spent on this project. We cannot allow this project to become a white elephant. The restructuring the taxi industry. The IP welcomes any intervention by government to restructure the taxi industry to make it an empowered and self-sustaining industry. It is leading in mass transportation, providing affordable, safe and reliable transport to South African citizens. We have heard before about the restructuring of taxi industry. In 1995, the first transport minister in the new democratic government, Mac Maharaj, set up the National Taxi Task Team, which conducted public hearings throughout the country. No fewer than 36 meetings to look into issues affecting taxi industry were held. The IFP believes that provincial taxi Lekgotla that will culminate in the National Taxi Lekgotla, which will be hosted by the Minister of Transport at the end of October 2020, will yield a positive result in transforming the taxi industry. The IP urges the department to ensure that the target system, which demands that a certain amount of cash must be made on a daily basis, is eradicated in the taxi industry. Failure to meet these targets often result in the taxi owners firing the taxi drivers, citing incompetence. Further, there must be an improvement of working conditions for taxi drivers. This will eliminate Imalia Sogis, the extra money a taxi driver makes after reaching the day's target required by the taxi owner. This often results in speeding, breaking road rules and regulation, and also causes unnecessary road accidents and the death of innocent passengers. The IP believes in women empowerment. That is why it urges the Honorable MEC to ensure that women are also included in opportunities created by government, like bus contracts and other value chain, including widows. Further, the IP emphasizes the importance of training taxi drivers and taxi owners in conflict management skills that will address taxi violence over routes. Instead of resorting to taxi violence, taxi association could then rather discuss issues and find alternative solutions that accommodate all taxi owners operating licensed driver's licenses. The IP welcomed the opening of the new provincial regulatory entity offices in many parts of the province. However, the IP urges Honorable MEC Ntuli to ensure that the delay in ensuring of taxi operating permits is fast-tracked, as this causes frustration for the taxi industry. The 22,000 licenses issued are just a drop in an ocean given the actual number of taxis in our province. So,
The next speaker for 10 minutes is Honorable S.A. Duma of the ANC.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker Makhubela Wagiti, for affording us this opportunity. Greetings to Honorable Premier, the collective of the Executive Committee, all the members involved, Chair. We also want to wish our condolences, to pass our condolences to all the bereaved families of the bad accident which took place yesterday. But Chair, we want, Honorable Speaker, we want to advance further the notion, because the majority of us in the province or in South Africa at large will usually think that the tax that involved in the accident is always in an incorrect way. What if we find that the bus or the truck that was involved had the problem of the tires? What if we find that on the contradictions that someone who was driving is someone who didn't even have the PDP? I'm saying that let us no stone remain unturned. The MEC should go deeper. If the truck had a problem, let us ensure that we criminally charge, or the subs should criminally lay the charges on the owner of the driver, and something must take place so that at some point in time the MEC must come back and give us a proper report, because I think we are also tired of the trucks that are not roadworthy but that keep on being in the road. In fact, Chair, I just wanted to elevate the stance that if hitting the ground running was a person, Honorable MP Ntuli would be regarded as such. He has just hit the ground running in the process and is clinical of what must happen. In fact, Chair, in this debate is so broad, unfortunately, we'll be raising against time, because we want to deliberate and deal with some of the innuendos advanced by honorable members who doesn't have the core understanding of what is happening as well. They are just talking at the basic and the raw element. In fact,
Some were also using the common understanding. I think we're all aware. In fact, we are so inspired, Honorable Speaker, by Honorable J.N. Ngumalo for expressing his high intellect debate using the vernacular, because there is that understanding or that notion which tend to equate that there is a correlation between English and intellectualism. He has just made it easy. He was so advancing the intellectual debate using his vernacular. We should encourage that to such members. Honorable Speaker, we must also elevate it as a note that Honorable Mpemba must reflect on the issue of rail project, which Honorable members are supporting, which was also reflected in his budget debate. This will be your legacy project, Honorable MEC. Please ensure that we are so enticed already. We want to see this project coming into manifestation, because it is what going to ensure and enhance KwaZulu-Natal as a proper corridors for economics mainstream. Honorable Chair, as well as a note, the issue of RPTN at Msunduzi, which was clearly advanced by Honorable Fraser, needs an urgent attention from our side. We are quite aware that National Treasurer was thinking of docking almost the entire amount, which is going to collapse this core project, which works as an instrument, which works as a network, which is going to ensure that there is an understanding and a similar process on the issue of network among the township in KZN. Honorable Chair, Honorable Mutli, we agree with him that some of these minibuses are not registered properly and something should be done. However, Honorable Mutli has loosely used the term cadre development or cadre deployment, which is critical, Chair, that when we have time, we must just expatiate. What does this mean? Who is the cadre? Who is not a cadre? So that honorable members, whenever they're short of words, they must not just put the theoretic framework of something they don't understand. Lately, Honorable Kwala has just advanced nicely on the issue of God Durban. He even also gave us the solutions of what should be done. I think we support Honorable Kwala's pounds and his plea that this project is big enough that all the stakeholders should be involved, province and national, so that you can't spend 3 billion and not monitoring. So siyamnqenqa-ke uMphemba ukuthi akayibambele eduzane ndaba Durban no-RPTN currently othathwa njengamanye osebenze kahle ngenxa yokuthi osomatekisi and all other stakeholders, the taxi owners, are deeply involved in the operations, and they will also be involved in the manufacturing of the spares and all those things, which is something that has not been taking place, which is something which will be not even be conceived in the past or in the apartheid era. So it must be critical that it is elevated in that way. I think, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Speaker, we want to mention that as we speak, currently we want to say thank to Babu Zondi and his team through Santaco of the role they played through this pandemic, which was bad, which was terrible, affected a lot of people. But because the MEC worked closely with all the stakeholders, it was easy for commuters to be at work safely. The issue of sanitation, the issue of adhering to the protocols, which was gladly done by the Santaco, because we must also elevate the good things that has been done by the association, because the naysayers and the doomsayers will always think that because the taxi industry is controlled and owned by Africans, therefore it is doomed to fail. And it is not the case in this regard. Honorable Speaker, we must also elevate the point that almost all the projects that are involving transport in the province, there is an association, which is why the issue of building of ranks, they are complying to a lot of things. However, Chair, we must reflect that yesterday the portfolio committee in our oversight went and visited Newcastle local municipality, Amajuba district, and went and visited P483, which is going okay currently, which is going to be a very strategic corridor which link Amajuba and Zululand districts and will work as an economic node as well at the same time. We must also mention, Honorable Speaker, that the taxi industry and the taxi association in that area should come at the fore,
because when it comes to the obeying of traffic laws and rules, some of the taxis were not doing that in such a way that there's been some 3 accidents which must be addressed and ensure that if there is a need for criminal charges, so be it, so that we don't just kill this nice vibe and this nice relationship that is existing between the department and the association. NABACO as well is playing their role, and the issue of Go Durban, we are saying that this should involve the entire stakeholders, Africans in particular, should be the major beneficiary of this process. Chair and Speaker, it's critical that Honorable Mchali is raising an ideology, and she doesn't have the proper understanding. She's saying that it has been a shameful years of the ANC in power of 25 years. Unfortunately, the road she used today, unfortunately, the electronics, she's just gazing at them right now. Unfortunately, for her to qualify to be a member, it was the effort of the liberation struggle, of the liberation movement, even the working class that you are currently advancing the issue. That's a working class that has been formed as a result of the blood and sweat of our fallen heroes. So there are holes that have been built. The infrastructure that you are currently referring, if there are some failures, we do agree, but you cannot just polemic, just come and say that nothing has been done. We will think that we are bad. And we've been participating in our portfolio committees. We've been participating even in the oversight. The road to traverse, the road to use on a daily basis, even where there are challenges sometimes, are the infrastructure that has been built by this government. So it would be unfair that you can just lambast and not even coming with the one solution. But otherwise, there is a nice rapport amongst the members of this portfolio committee, Honorable Speaker, which must be commended even when they are debating, because Honorable Hussein is elevating the issue of Go Durban, not even mentioning that almost 4 billion has been spent, and there is a visibility on C1, there is a visibility on C2. Honorable Kuala mentioned the issue of C3, which is currently going on. By the time they finish all these phases, Durban outlook will have been changed completely. And it is what we demand, it is what we want from this progressive government. Honorable Speaker, we must also highlight that the department has played a pivotal role. Even on Saturday, they will be starting the issue of taxi Lekotla, which is critical, which is the one at the center of making sure that what has been known in the past, or when we are debunking the theories that Africans cannot run any business, because the taxi industry, they also contribute, because when they have to buy the new taxis, they must also produce their those things. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Lwandle.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
The next speaker for 10 minutes is the Honorable MEC Ntuli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. And I really appreciate the debate that has been ensued by all honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. I really appreciate the input that they've made. Starting from Honorable Nxumalo Zwide, nami ngiyavumelana noMthombeni ukuthi usibuyisele wenza le mcimbi okuthiwa sibuye emasisweni, and you bringing us back to isimo okufanele ngabe sizithola sikusona sonke. And the input that you're making, and in terms of the economy being the transport being the boost of the economy, is resounding from my side. And Honorable Hussein Moodley, sorry, yes, we will be able to investigate, like Mthombeni says, the issue of these accidents that are taking place in our roads. And indeed, the issue of Msunduzi, we have taken note of your argument, and from the ruling party is also doing all it could so that this project is going forward. But we are piggybacking on the skills and the experience from a eThekwini team, because we want to encourage these cooperative governance issues, and they have accepted that they will be assisting Umsunduzi project to go ahead. And the issue of the RTI corruption, I don't need to emphasize that a call was made by our premier in the province that we must at all costs fight the bribe and the corruption that is taking place in different departments of our government. And as such, from the permit side, you would recall that 5 members have already appeared in court. And like I said in my statement, I do believe that these 5 people are not the only ones, in my view. And the issue of Kotepen, it seems like many members have touched on it. And I must report that we have had this program and this project are going to be inclusive of all the stakeholders. We have had on Friday last week and on Tuesday with the leadership of eThekwini municipality under the leadership of Ubabu Sabelo. We have had a very progressive engagement with the taxi industry led by Ukhabazele Zunopala, was eThekwini taxi industry, and Noduma Uslalo industry. I think we are finding each other in terms of the points that they had raised, the 13 points, and out of them they've been elevated. And I'm happy with the progress that is being made in that regard. So I think we are mindful of the fact that we need to include everybody. Yes, acting swiftly when there are corruption. I think all this started from the office of the premier, and as a face of our government in moving very swiftly when there were cases and suspicions of corruptions. And the pace that we are moving, and in all departments, starting from our head, which is the premier, I think we are moving, we're moving swiftly enough. And in terms of dealing with the tax violence as well, we are really dealing with all those issues. And the issue of Operation Chanela, within the limited number of them that we have, but we are able to deal with some of the issues that are being raised in different districts. And we are also dealing with the permits that is a backlog in our department. And the COVID-19 has had an effect on that one. The area that I'm at has not given me a benefit of listening to Honorable Mchali and Honorable Mlochwa, but the list that I've had on the comment made by Umtombeni tells me that Honorable Mchali has indicated that the ANC government is a shame. But I do want to remind Honorable Mchali that I was together with her in one of the stadium in Mvoti during the by-election that was in the past, there in Ward 7, I suppose. And we were together with her taking photos, and she was very happy to be on the sport field that was not there before. If she did not see that as a progress that the ANC is making, I really feel that something has got to be done in order for her to be assisted in that regard. Yes, Honorable Fraser, all the documents of the ruling party that you have quoted on, and the issues that you have raised, and reminding us of the leadership of our women leadership that were part of the struggle. We really appreciate that. And indeed, we will be moving from road to rail to alleviate the load of the vehicles that are using our roads, so that our roads the lifespan of our roads would be assisted. But in terms of the taxi industry, Mtombeni has touched on it a bit. With Gwanabako, we have women that are part of the the bus industry, the mainstream operation, and the scholar transport. And I'm happy to report that they are really participating, and we would like to see more women, more youth, more people that are disabled in the industry, so that the industry is mixed. Mrs. Rajbansi, thank you very much. The issue of the drivers, women drivers, I agree with you that we should also involve them, but it will depend obviously on their employment by the taxi industry and the bus industry. But we encourage them that they could be part of it. And there are some areas where we have women that are driving. In Escawini, I've seen a number of them. And the cleanliness in our taxi ranks, indeed, we want to make sure that even if you are at the taxi rank, you are able to eat, to buy whatever that is cooked there and eat there. But Pagati, we really appreciate your comments, and indeed the Code Durban is going to be inclusive of everybody, and it is not only Msunduzi ranks that is going to be we're going to put Wi-Fi in. We want to extend that to other areas, and indeed the skills empowerment in terms of administering of their businesses. We will be assisting them, and out of this text lehutla that is forthcoming on Saturday, we will be dealing with all those issues so that we are able to empower the industry. But Mangale, unfortunately, I did hear that you talking about the training and skills, which is what we're doing. Unfortunately, you could not finish because of the challenges that you have, which is unfortunate. Babu Kwala, we really appreciate that, and the quote that you have gone through for President Kenyatta. Indeed, we encourage everybody to be in business, and I guess you are also perhaps wanting to go the business line, which we can pray hard for you that you can be able to succeed in that. But thank you very much for you reminding us that. And yeah, the design of the Code Durban, I think in terms of our engagement with the Tegwini, I think by January, April next year, some of the stations will be in operation. And yes, in the negotiations, as I said earlier, we are able to negotiate with the taxi industry. And we are grateful that you are reminding us of our leaders like Mark Maharaj. I didn't know that you know them, but indeed, ufanele ukubazi ngoba phela nelithi ihlala ikhuluma ngabo njalo abantu yake yasebenza nabo. So you are on the right track. And in terms of the offices, we are happy that some of the offices in Mpangeni, closer to abantu bakamhlabi yalingana, bayakwazi uku-accessa naseThekwini bayakwazi uku-accessa manje, and we will play by the ear on the ground so that you also advise us wherever they are needed, and so that the permits are being fast-tracked. Tombeni, thank you very much. It has always been encouraging for you to listen to your debates, and you have covered almost all the issues that were touched on by other members of this August House. And citing as the leadership of Santako, I am really lucky that I found the leadership.
Thank you,
working with the leadership on the Sibonga kakhulu. Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Siyabonga nathi mhlonishwa. Honorable members, we've now come to the end of the debate. We're moving to the next debate, which is on the report by the MEC for Human Settlement and Public Works on the plans and progress to release land at the disposal of the state for site and service to afford households the opportunity to build and own houses. The first speaker for 9 minutes is Honorable T.S. Mchali of the ANC.
Honorable MEC of Human Settlement, Honorable Nkwenyeni, Honorable Premier, Honorable Portfolio Chairperson, Mayor Hlongwa Madlala, honorable members, please receive my greetings. The Communist Manifesto argues that the class struggles or the exploitation of one class by another are the motivating force behind all historical developments. Honorable Speaker, in 2017, the strategy and tactics of the ANC in the vision of our collective effort when it defined the character of the National Democratic Revolution, it stated, and I quote, "In this regard, such a society will place a high premium on redistribution of land in both urban and rural areas for the benefit of those who were denied access under colonialism," close quote. It is therefore clear from this that the ANC-led government, all that is doing is to address the historical injustice which was done by the exploitation of our people by the apartheid government. True to our words, the ANC on the 2019 manifesto with regards to human settlement, it stated, and I quote, "Through the National Development Plan, we seek to advance a coherent program to transform human settlements and cities and strengthen the livelihood perspective of households and overcome apartheid spatial patterns," close quote. And further on, this is what we said. We said we will transform the property market to promote access to urban opportunity and social integration through access to well-located, affordable housing and decent shelter, thereby revising urban, fragmented and highly inefficient spiral. We further said, Honorable Speaker, we will release land at the disposal of the state for the site and service to afford households the opportunity to build and own their own houses. Today, Madam Speaker, we are here debating policy for the disposal of the service site, confirming our manifesto commitment as the ANC. No one can dare challenge me when I say it is only the ANC that is able to raise superior logic in its manifesto and keep its commitment by implementing its manifesto, because indeed we are the only true representative of the people, as Mele Saqhuba Somlong. Honorable Speaker, the policy disposal of service sites proposes that projects be planned in two phases. The first one being planning, land acquisition, township establishment, and providing service residential stands. This is because the policy intends to do the following, Honorable Speaker. One, to sell service sites at an affordable price to beneficiaries who are willing to build their own houses. And in so doing, they will experience the benefit of owning an asset. To bridge the social economic divide by allowing people access to the property market. It must be remembered that in 2008, the financial linked individual subsidy was approved for the implementation, which was targeting groups' income between 3,500 to 15,000. However, in 2018, the threshold was increased to 22,000. Madam Speaker, this is the threshold which is commonly referred to as a gap market, who is considered to be a high risk by the developers and financial institutions. But we are here to announce that under the ANC-led government, we are changing this to the policy for the disposal of service sites, as this gives an opportunity to them to own their sites, which they have been deprived all these years. This will benefit the working class, hence indeed it's a victory for the working class. Just like we said in our manifesto, we will release land at the disposal of the state to afford households the opportunity to build and own homes on the basis that we understand very clearly that the apartheid government ensured that a black child must not own a property, for only white supremacy was determined to own a property. Through the ANC-led government, we are advancing clear policies that seeks to say your color of the skin must not deprive you to own an asset. Speaker, this will go a long way also indeed to ensure that we address the backlog of houses that we are building as the province of KwaZulu-Natal. If you clearly understand that none who can come here and speak about their manifesto and implementing, any speaker that will follow me from the opposition will be lamenting, they will be crying, they will be complaining. It is only us that when we make a commitment through the manifesto of the ANC, we are standing here today, Honorable Speaker, confirming to our people that we are implementing it. We are saying, Speaker, this is the victory for the working class because we fully understand that those that stand to benefit from what we are advancing as an NDR indeed is the working class. The shelter that they will have for their families, it is indeed a victory for the working class to go home to a home that they can call their own for their generations, that they must come in the understanding that the ANC has made that to be possible. We are reminding them of our history, where we come from, where we were subjected to live in far areas within the economy so that we cannot work. We cannot provide for our family, but you can be slaves that are subjected to white masters in order for us to provide for our families. We are going to build houses next to economic centers and the activities so that we're able to ensure that we fully participate to the economy and we're able to ensure that our people, those that have been subjected to colonialism, are able to rise again. Hence, we have said it and we're saying it and we'll continue to say it. Tomorrow will be better than today. Tomorrow will be better than today. For us, in advancing the NDR, it's because indeed we want a national democratic society that brings hope to our people. To us, it is because, as we have said, we, as the ANC-led government, were clear that what we are doing is to address the historical injustice that was done by the apartheid government. Honorable Speaker, today we want to say to the working class, we have heard your calls. We have walked with you through this journey, and we are confirming through this policy that indeed will dispose the land that will be affordable to you, that will be service for you, that will have water, that will have electricity. Yours is to be able to build. But we are not only standing there. These sites, Honorable Speaker, must also be utilized for community activities. We must build halls. We must build more schools. We must build more health institutions, whether we're speaking about hospitals, whether we're speaking about clinics. Indeed, that is why no one can dare challenge us when we say we are the only true representative of the people. Honorable Speaker, no one here today can contest when you say we are the government of the people, by the people, for the people. And it is only through the ANC-led policies that we are able to advance these things. That is why even when we debate, they will make noise because they have nothing to offer to our people. When we speak about the critical issues of a shelter, to them, their great-grandfathers deprived our people a shelter. So even to them, a shelter for a black person is meaningless. But we are saying...
Honorable Mtshali, do not drown the speaker. Do not drown the speaker. Continue, Honorable Manjinga.
Ordinarily, an empty tin makes too much noise. We stand firm, not intimidated. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I do want to say to our people, this has been the commitment of the ANC towards 2019 election as is reflected in our manifesto. We are standing here today affirming our commitment. We don't make empty promises, but what we make, we are able to implement it because for us, the struggle we are pursuing, it confirms that indeed we are the only organization that is a true representative of our people. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The next speaker for 10 minutes is Honorable MJ Mazibuko. For 10 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members of this august House, and all compatriots who are following this debate. At the outset, I must record the IFP's unequivocal support for the very significant announcement made by Honorable MEC Nelly Sopek Nkonyeni, which was the report on the government's plans and progress regarding the release of land at the disposal of the state in order to enable our people to have access to their own properties and houses. As a party that is firmly rooted in the formerly oppressed, the poor and the destitute, we fully understand what it means not to have a shelter above one's head. This report, in a broader sense, relates to the land question, a matter that is fundamental to our very essence as a people. Honorable Speaker, I take part in this debate within the context of my party's resolution to dedicate this year to our founding president and President Emeritus Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Hence, I dedicate my today's contributions to this son of the soil. This is relevant because when he founded the National Cultural Liberation Movement in 1975, he anchored it on the hallowed values of our struggle that had been propounded by the founding leaders of the African National Congress in Bloemfontein in 1912. One such value was about the centrality of land. It was natural, therefore, that when our President Emeritus founded Inkatha, he placed the land question at the center of Inkatha's struggles for liberation. The report that we're discussing today focuses primarily on those who fall within the gap market, the first being families and individuals earning between 3.5 to 22,000 per month, and the second category being those earning between 22,000 and 40,000. Honorable Speaker, these are categories of our people who have generally found themselves isolated. On the one hand, the government has been particularly paying attention to the poor, the destitute, and the unemployed. On the other hand, financial institutions have found these categories not very attractive as reliable and stable market in which to invest their resources. Hence, in some circumstances, some within these categories end up resorting to other means to ensure that they have shelter above their heads. In other cases, these means have put them at loggerheads with the government. We have, for instance, seen some very beautiful structures being demolished by the powers that be. We hope that the approach articulated by the report will go a long way towards resolving these contradictions. While on this point, the FP wishes to salute His Majesty our King and the entire indigenous leadership governance structures for having accommodated some of our people and thus sheltering them from the harsh winds of unfettered capitalist tendencies. Hence, as one drives through Amakosi lands, one is attracted to quality houses beautifying the landscape. The report indicates that benefits to the 22,000 to 40,000 earning category will be limited to 30% of the project. The IFP is interested to know why this is the case, instead of offering 100% opportunities to them as well. What prompts this question is the fact that the overall objective here is to eliminate homelessness among our people, regardless of who they are. We are, however, ready to support this approach if we are convinced of the reasons thereof. Honorable Speaker, one of the advantages of concentrating on service sites is that once a person has acquired a fully serviced site, they have the latitude to build at their own pace, depending on their own circumstances. This revives and entrenches the IFP's long-held philosophy of self-help and self-reliance, which our founder and President Emeritus instilled in us. We urge the government, in partnership with the private sector, and all able South Africans to cooperate in programs to empower particularly the formerly oppressed towards being self-reliant. This is the future of our country. The IFP supports the report primarily because it avails various creative solutions towards stamping out homelessness, ensuring that all our people reside in decent and healthy territories, that is, the real human settlements. We support it too because it validates the effectiveness of the IP's role in this country and the vast experience that our participation in the democratic government has benefited our people. As history knows, long ago we perfected the strategy of working within the system as the IFP. when we got inside the belly of the beast, apartheid beast, to attack it from within. We have used the same experience to help achieve total liberation for our people through being the voice of the poor and destitute to the governing party. For those who may not be well versed with this history, ICATA, as it led the erstwhile KwaZulu government, actually was involved in programs that were characterized by efforts to empower our people in the midst of apartheid atrocities. Thus, even today, when one drives through areas like Umlazi, KwaMashu, KwaMakhuta, Mpumalanga, Gamalakhe, Madadeni, Ulundi, Esikhaweni, and others, one is attracted to indelible IFP spearheaded landmarks in which some refer to as Omazakhele or Amasabab. These developments took place because ICATA managed to empower the then oppressed to turn apartheid-driven dumping areas into habitable areas with tight roads, schools, malls, shops, and so on. That was in the midst of apartheid oppression. In KwaMashu, we've had tight roads, Honorable Chairperson. We've had houses built by the FP, then actually leading KwaZulu government. For those who were born in Mpangeni, they may not know. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we also applaud the report because it is in harmony with the outlook of the IFP. The IFP's manifesto for the 2019 national elections, from which the ANC copied, declared as follows, and I quote, "The IFP understands that the resolution of land issue carries with it the promise of healing the wounds of the past." It said, the IFP will champion the allocation of all unused land that is in the hands of the state to assist the poor. And even the question of handing over land to municipalities is in harmony with our long-held philosophy, because we've been referred to as federalists. We've believed in decentralization. We've said resources, power, and money must be devolved to the lowest part of governance, because those are at the coal face of delivering services. But we are concerned, Honorable Speaker, that when we look at the report, it highlights municipalities that are going to be actually assisted with sites. But of all those municipalities, none is governed by the IFP. Indeed, look at your report. But because we respect the MEC for the fact that she does not mix party politics with service delivery, we understand she will be able to explain to us why this is so that when our people ask us, we'll be able to tell them. And the MEC referred to the Freedom Charter, and she went on to acknowledge that as the ANC, they have worked hard to honor the covenant with the people. But she also acknowledged that much more still needs to be done. Indeed, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi acknowledged, agreed with a similar sentiment when she said in the National Assembly on 18 February 2020, it is not that government has done nothing to fulfill commitments made in 1994, but that the good work started has not been completed. And why is it so? The fundamental problem is not that, or rather the challenge is not that people have a problem with the ANC still working forward towards fulfilling the mandates. But the fundamental problem which has eroded public trust in the ANC is the apparent lackadaisical attitude, which displays defiance of and rebellion against those various commitments. This is demonstrated in government's forward-looking programs and policies, which gather dust in office shelves because the ruling party and government lack the tenacity to stick to the job until it is finished. And in addition,
Honorable Member, I'm glad to acknowledge that time is against us. The next member for 8 minutes is Honorable Lucas Meyer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. For urban land reform, what is needed is, amongst other things, to speed up the expansion of housing opportunities by providing service plots close to urban centres and making state land available for urban densification. This paragraph comes from a policy document released by the Democratic Alliance on the 12th of March 2018. That's before the ANC manifesto. Therefore, it is easy for me to say to the MEC that the Democratic Alliance will support this programme in principle. But as a member of this legislature, I have a sworn duty to raise the concerns and to do my bit to ensure that any programme launched by this government succeeds by identifying the dangers and the pitfalls. Because quite often with the ANC, I am reminded of my grandmother's words, "The recipe is mooi, maar die koek is maar plat." The recipe is good, but the cake has fallen flat. The plan is only as good as the implementation. The plan has the potential to work and to work well.
Honourable Mayor, Afrikaans is an official language and a language in this legislature. Continue, Honourable Member.
Baie dankie, Speaker. This plan has potential to work and to work well, and it is a shame it did not come earlier. Imagine if we allowed the people of Woodlands in Ward 25, in this very city, but a few kilometers from here, to build their own homes. Then the residents of the informal settlement there would not have been forced to look at where their homes are standing half-built for years with no more work happening on it. Or imagine if we allowed the residents of Masinenge and Ugu to have the ability to build their own homes on land given to them. Then that particular project might not have been standing still for so many years. But hey, tomorrow will be better than yesterday. Honourable Speaker, the fact of the matter is that the housing backlog in KZN, but also South Africa as a whole, keeps growing, and that the South African government just does not have enough money to build enough houses for all that needed. The government simply does not have the funds to provide top structures to everybody in this country who does not own a conventional home. This has been known to be the case for decades. The government doesn't have enough money, but the government does have land. And I will get back to that little important piece of information later. But Speaker, there are a few glaring concerns with this programme. The first is that it is heavily dependent on municipalities to succeed. The MEC in a speech before this House on the 18th of September outlined quite a few parts of this programme that will mean that we will have to look at municipalities to make this work. Things like town planning and the provision of bulk infrastructure. But the reality is that even with the KZN Department of Human Settlements' current programs, the big hiccup, the place where the proverbial pawpaw continues to hit the fan, and I say pawpaw, Honourable Speaker, because if I said what really hits the fan, you would rebuke me. But the challenge the department faces is the failure of district municipalities to provide the bulk infrastructure required. Here one can use as a glaring example the very district our Honourable MEC and yourself, Honourable Speaker, is from, namely Ugu. So for this plan to succeed, the legislature is going to have to be willing, through COCTA, to get tough on municipalities that is not coming to the party. Furthermore, for this plan to work, it will need the provision of title deeds. The good folk that benefit from the scheme will need ownership of the land to make it easier for them to secure loans, to build and improve their homes. But the facts are that the provision of title deeds are running way behind schedule, and again, in a large part, it is the failing municipalities of this province that is causing the delays. Municipalities will have to assist to ensure that this is housing with dignity, with all the amenities that is required to make these healthy living spaces. In a speech in September, when she announced the project, the MEC started by reading from the Freedom Charter, but she stopped before coming to a very important line that reads, "Slums shall be demolished, new suburbs built where all have transport, roads, lighting, playing fields, creches, and social centres." For this project to be a true success, we will need those roads and the lighting and the playing fields. So the Honourable MEC will have to, if this scheme is to succeed, work with her colleagues from COCTA to ensure that municipalities actually for once do their duty, play their part, and not be the eternal spanner in the works of the Human Settlements Department. Another possible bump in the road is the safeguarding of these parcels of land. Land invasion is becoming more of a challenge in KZN, and if the provincial government and municipalities can't keep the land safe, how are we going to expect the beneficiaries of this project to do so? We'll have to put strategies in place to ensure that the ones that get the land also benefit from the land and that they don't just build informal structures on it, but the formal structures that we need. Honourable Speaker, the last but possibly the most important matter that must be raised here is the issue of transparency, accountability, and the constant threat of corruption that hangs over this province and over this country like an axe over our neck. Corruption remains the most life-threatening pandemic this country faces. I will therefore ask the Honourable MEC to commit to ensuring that there will be full transparency of this program, for where everything happens in the light, there cannot be scheming in the dark. Make sure that the beneficiary list will be freely available for all to see, so that those who have applied can see where they are on the list, so that queue jumping and land for pals and all other forms of corruption and injustice can be prevented. For too many good plans in this beloved countries of ours are sunk, not by the ghost of the past, but by the monsters of corruption. Chairperson, I want to make this full circle now in the speech. For when the ANC, led by the fear of the EFF, shouts about appropriation without compensation, the DA stood firm that the problem is not our constitution, the problem is the execution or the lack thereof by the government. And the DA stood firm on the belief that one answer to the land question is the vast tracts of land that belongs to the government. Government has not used the powers it already has to expropriate land for land reform purposes effectively, nor use the provisions in the Constitution that allow compensation to be below market value in particular circumstances. The lack of well-situated land for urban settlement remains a stark legacy of apartheid planning and discrimination. Well-situated state-owned land needs to be made available for housing for the poor. These are not my words, Honourable Speaker, but the words of former President Mofantle and the high-level...
Honourable Mayor, can I hear the Deputy Chief Whip?
Thank you very much, Speaker. I'm rising on 52D. I want to ask if the Honourable Member can advocate for farm dwellers to be able to build proper structures.
Can I hear you, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip? I could not hear you, Honourable Rogers.
Speaker, I'm rising on 52D. I want to ask if the Honourable Member can advocate.
Okay. The Deputy Chief Whip wants to ask you a question.
I'm almost done. Thanks, Speaker.
Okay, Uti, he won't take a question.
So let me read this again. Government has not used the powers it already has to expropriate land for land reform purposes effectively, nor used the provisions in the Constitution that allow for compensation. The lack of well-situated land for urban settlements remain a stark legacy. Well-situated state-owned land needs to be made available. And I say again, these are not my words, Honourable Speaker, but the words of a former President of the Republic and the high-level panel on the assessment of key legislation and acceleration of fundamental change. The DA thus supports this project as it falls within our policies and expresses our willingness to work with the MEC to ensure that this works for the benefit of all the people. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable members, can you please put on your masks? Put them on properly. Some of you are even sitting cozily without masks, so close to others. Honourable Kunene, I am addressing an important issue. Honourable service people, please put on your masks properly. Honourable Kika, I want you to put it properly, the mask. No, it was not. You just had to adjust it. No, you adjusted it to hide your nose. Honourable... Ngicela ulungise ikhala lakho lingaphandle lonke. Miss Naidu,
For safety, ngicela ulungise mhlonishwa zokhuluma nawe ikhala lakho lonke lingaphandle. Ngicela Secretary in the future just also have handy ama mask handy so that an honorable member sizoyibona ingaliboni ukuthi likuphi to assist them. Service officers from time to time do remind honorable members. Had the deputy chief whip not caused what she caused, and I wouldn't have said that you are now against the regulations and you are lawmakers. Sorry about that, Honorable Mbaipeli. I apologize for taking from your time. Now, the next speaker is your honorable member for 6 minutes.
Thank you.
All of this is social distance, honorable members. Social distance, honorable members. Social distance, honorable members. In the House, I think we must just stick to the regulations. It's a play. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Much to our amusement, the report by the Honorable MEC for Human Settlements and Public Works in KwaZulu-Natal on the plans and progress to release land at the disposal of the state for site and service to afford households the opportunity to build and own homes moved to a disappointing and false tale of a non-existent track record of housing service delivery in the province. Human settlements, particularly in the province of KZN, has failed to provide the people of this province with dignity to resolve spatially apartheid policies and to offer structural solutions to the problems that came with land dispossession. We must never allow those that have in ignorance allowed the poorest of the poor to suffer without their basic rights, to shelter, to lead the measurement of worth. We must never allow a corrupt, self-serving government to ever get away with telling a shallow story of success and service delivery. Never allow a broken ANC that has exploited the needy and allowed a manipulation of housing intervention to ever attempt to tell us about service delivery, let alone a good story to tell. As we channel our attention to the attempt of this ministry to make available, through relevant processes, appropriately sized, well-located residentially serviced sites to meet the gap market and affordable housing needs. We must get clarity on how this process will not again be manipulated and diluted with corruption, nepotism, and a wanting in the ANC administration. It is about time that the ANC wake up from a 26-year slumber and attempt to cater for those outside the criteria of BMG government housing, but who do not have enough to secure a bank loan. Both the indignant and the emerging middle class has for the last 26 years been left to fall prey to the capitalist syndicate that are banks and a shameful landlessness. As an organization that understands the lack of structural capital and financial responsibilities that exist for someone in the second category, earning 22,000 to 40,000 because of systematic exclusion and the active black tax, we must register that disposal of service sites at a fair market value to persons should not be limited to 30% of the project. This figure is not contextually to the realistic of South Africans, particularly in poverty-stricken KZN. This ANC-led administration is unaware of these institutionalized challenges confronting our people. This is what happens when you sleep, wake up, and steal for 26 years. I thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker For 9 minutes is Honorable TV Xulu of the ANC.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, members of Executive Council, honorable members of this House, Amakosi, they are present, ladies and gentlemen, sanibonani. Somlomo mangidlulise ukuzithoba ngihloniphe umbutho wabantu African National Congress for allowing me to reflect on the matters of human settlement. Honorable members, allow me to quote the ANC 2019 election manifesto on human settlement. I quote, "Vacant land in near centers of all cities and towns must be turned into affordable housing for the poor and working class. Closed shops, parks, schools, clinics, public transport, and their places of work." I close quote. I therefore remind this august House that the adequate housing is an important basic human right which is recognized in the Constitution and is enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as well as Article 11 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. Today, a large number of the demands are all recorded in the Freedom Charter, have been realized. As the Department of Human Settlement performance on housing service delivery in KwaZulu-Natal is apparent. Human settlement housing options must include site service schemes, option for people to build their own houses, high-rise accommodation, affordable rental stock for those who are transitioning resident in urban areas for work and other purposes. The transformation of hostels into family units. And as we all know, only the ANC ekwazi ukulungisa isimo sabantu basemahostela, we all know that. And the provision of students, accommodation, and other priorities needs. Ordinarily, the disposal of sites is defined by two methods. Firstly, the case sales where applicant will be required to purchase the site on as case sale basis, and the property will be transferred to the applicant once the purchase price has been paid to the department. As secondly, the hire purchase where the department will explore the availability of the data system, the department capacity to manage data, and also the challenges experienced. In this situation, the Integrated Residential Development Program and projects may elect to offer vacant site to the applicant on hire purchase. The Department of Human Settlements ensure that the IRDP allows for the gross household income must range from 3,500 to 22,000 per month, which is defined as a cap market level 1. Coupled with the disposal of service sites at a fair market value to persons earning 22,000 to 40,000 is limited to 30% of the project, which is defined as gap market level 2. In this situation, ofaka isicelo makabe ngoyengabadi, not yet owned a fixed residential property, single with financial dependence, married or habiting, not yet benefited from government assistance. Divorced applicants will be considered on merit of its case. Against the following special conditions will apply. Only one application per application will be allowed. And the applicant must approve that he or she will be able to sustain ownership, and the applicant must commit to building a habitable dwelling on the site within the period of 5 years, and the dwelling must approved by municipality and the National Home Builders Registration Council. The gap market on different intervention approaches adopted by the department in ensuring that the disposal service site transforms the lives of our people for the better. Ukuthengwa komhlaba waseIdindele kwaqalwa ngo-2012 kwasekuma ngo-2016. Siyacela ukuba kuqhubeke ngoba abantu bakithi nabo bayafisa ukuba nemhlaba emagameni abo. I-Edendale Land Owners Association izimisele ukuba lolu daba luqedwe nohulumeni wakithi. We must also acknowledge the 25,000 units built KwaZulu-Natal and are now 99% finished. It is a milestone for umbutho wabantu, the ANC-led government. Abanye bahluleka to do this. There is no other government who have built 25,000 units for their residents. Honorable Speaker, the National Development Plan 2030 proposed critical actions on new spatial norms and standards, densifying cities, improving transport. As the ANC-led government, we have put in place all the mechanisms to ensure the right adequate housing is recognized in KwaZulu-Natal. As a result, the department has 3 interventions which are categorized over short, medium, long term, which can be up to 12 months in the short term, 12 to 24 months in the medium term, and longer when exceeding 24 months. Each intervention is coupled with a new approaches adopted by the department in ensuring that the disposal service site transform the lives of the people for the better. Subsequently, short-term approaches are individual service sites requiring geotechnical assessment and evaluation prior being released, and parcels of land requiring subdivisions and limited services, and projects where planning has been
Honorable member, please pause. Have you sorted that out? Okay, you can continue.
Conclusively, the long-term considerations are well-located land parcels requiring comprehensive town planning and associated specialist investigations prior to being serviced, and the acquisitions of land, comprehensive planning and services of proposed projects on well-located private land parcels, just to name the few. Honorable Speaker, we must applaud the work done by the Department of Human Settlement. This remains a groundbreaking aspiration of our Freedom Charter, which says there shall be houses, security, and comfort. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The next speaker for 2 minutes is Honorable VR Mlojwa. He is no longer in the House, but he left an arrangement in terms of the rules that Honorable Esther Rajbansi will speak on his behalf, will deliver his speech, and as a replacement, Honorable Thakur Rajbansi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, I delivered this speech on behalf of VRM Shotwa of the NFP. Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Honorable Members, distinguished guests and viewers. Honorable Speaker, as NFP, we support the report from the NEC and its promises. However, we are deeply and very much concerned about the implementation and realization of the department's key objectives. The main question, 1, what is the government's plan to reach out to needy beneficiaries? 2, how is the knowledge and information will be cascaded to reach the beneficiaries? 3, is there any strategy to combat corruption and avoid political influences, etc.? Honorable Speaker, it is undisputed fact and truth that the Department of Housing has a serious challenge and shortage of skills. Example, engineers, land surveyors, etc. These 3 intervention categories are not realistically achievable. Appointment of implementing agents, Honorable Speaker, it seems to be a ploy of fraud and corruption. Why does not the department do its own job? Let us hope that everything will be transparent for the benefit of all who deserve it and not just ANC members. Honorable Speaker, according to the MEC in the report, he revealed that in 2020-2021 financial year, The department intends to allocate 784 sites, but in 2021-2022 financial year, the department intends to allocate approximately 313 sites. So the people no longer need sites. Will the budget for next financial year be reduced? Please be clear on that note. Thank you. Delivered on behalf of Honorable V.R. Mshlochwa, NFP. Thank you.
Thank you, NFP. Now, the next speaker for 2 minutes is Honorable S. Thakur Rajbansi of the Minority Front. Minority Front.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable MEC P. and Kanyeni. The Minority Front welcomes these practical changes to housing policy for first-time homeowners who fall out of the Breaking New Ground strategy. Honorable members, the late Mr. A. Rajbansi pre-1994 had a similar plan, and he released land for site and service to afford households the opportunity to build and own homes. Examples that attest to this is the Phoenix Palmview Housing Scheme and others. Today, homeowners still appreciate this opportunity, whereby service sites as well as basic building foundation material was supplied to people, and they did the rest to complete their homes. Self-help projects will work. For a few years, families living in congested flats in Chatsworth approached me to form groups of 10 or more persons, pool their resources and build their own homes. If only the state could give them service sites. The department left policy changes to national at that time. The MF has always advocated housing cooperatives as a viable model to not only get people homes, but open up the economy due to other banking and business activities. Honorable MEC, such housing cooperatives should be deliberated on, as they have worked excellently in countries like Canada and will contribute immensely to that by the Eugenic contractors that the designs were approved by the informal dwellers. But as a woman, I can tell you, I can't fathom how a family and their belongings will fit into this minimalist structure. Jojo tanks were supplied but not solar geysers, yet going green is crucial now in our buildings. Honorable MEC, even informal dwellers are economically active and rather do an income survey, and many may be able to build a simple, complete house in time with service sites ownership. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker for 2 minutes is Honorable M.E. Pakati of the ATM.
Somlomo asibonge. Ngqongqoshe sishayela izandla uhlelo oza nalo. Ngoba lolu hlelo luzobuyisa isithunzi sabantu bakithi abamnyama abahlupheke iminyaka bengenazo indawo zokuhlala. Singakhumbula Somlomo ukuthi emalokishini anjengoMashu kwa-L lapho abantu abehlala khona bewumndeni emibili behlala ku-4 room esikhathini esidlulile. Namhlanje sesizoxoxwa abantu abahlala isikhathi eside behola uhulumeni behlalisa abantu bakithi engathi bayilwana. Abantu bakithi behlala endaweni eyodwa behleli kulezo zindawo besebenzisa indawo yangasese eyodwa. Imindeni mhlambe esingayilinganisa kweshumi umndeni abantu abayishumi umndeni wodwa. Asivumelane Somlomo ukuthi akekho umuntu ongeza nohlelo lokuhlalisa abantu bakithi ongazange ahlale kulezi ndawo abantu bakithi abahlale kuzona. Akekho futhi umuntu ongeza Somlomo nendlela eyaphambili yokunikeza abantu bakithi umhlaba ongakwazi ukuhlupheka nendawo yokuhlala. Siyaza namhlanje omhlonishwa umeya bayahamba nje bekhuluma. Umbuzo uthi yena wake wahlala na endaweni ekubizwa nge-informal settlement? Ukho walala yini emjondolo njengoba ngizokhuluma kanje namhlanje? Asivumelane Somlomo ukuthi lolu hlelo eza nalo ungqongqoshe lizoshintsha impilo zabantu bakithi, lizonikeza nalabo abahola kancane indlela yokuthi bazokwenza njani ukuthi babe nemihlaba yabo, babe namakhaya abo. Siyabonga msomlomo, ATM will support the program and the report. Thank you.
The next member is the Honorable Chairperson of Human Settlement, Honorable Alex H. Madala, for 10 minutes. Oh, no, sorry, Honorable Madala, sorry. The matter of Honorable Mangele has been resolved. My apologies, Honorable Mangele is next for 2 minutes. The issue is that Honorable Mangele was connecting as a guest or something. After he has been assisted, is now entering correctly and will be on the screen. The Honorable Bishop Mangele for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Mangele.
All right, thank you so much, Speaker. Greetings once more. As ACDP, we welcome the program and the plan that the MEC has presented. However, concerns about the provision
Pause isikhathi. Mhlonishwa, bengisicela iphepha ulibeke phansi.
Oh, sorry.
Yebo, usungaqhuba ke manje mhlonishwa. Sinikeza kuwena mhlonishwa.
Thank you, Speaker. The research shows that this movement is attributed to the dissatisfaction with the structure provided on the basis of size, adequacy of the space, and quality of units. And that is the tendency to locate low-cost housing settlement far from a livelihood generation opportunity. As ACDP, we understand that the increase in formal dwelling units does not necessarily reflect the failure to address the question of delivery to low-income groups, but suggests the spillover of the urban poor to the urban periphery, the natural increase of the population in the urban area, and the beneficiaries who have moved back to squatter segment out of dissatisfaction with the quality and the type of housing provided. However, fundamental to the housing delivery challenges and its effectiveness is the issue of beneficiary participation in the planning and the implementation of the housing delivery. Beneficiaries' participation is the key for effective in any project delivery globally. Participation in housing delivery should be a process where the beneficiary organize, decide, and implement their decision according to the individual fairly needed aspiration and affordability. For effective delivery, people need to be involved in planning, designing, and building of their own house. According to APTP, this will answer questions such as who decides on what to provide for what is to be provided. We understand and we believe that.
Honorable Mangele, your time is up, Mhlonishwa wami.
Thank you.
The next speaker
Honorable
for
Speaker.
10 minutes. Honorable Kaula.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising in accordance with the point of order. I didn't want to disturb the member whilst he was addressing the House. Just want to check, Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Chapter 1 of our rules, on page 2, definitions, where it says minority party means a party with less than 10% representation in the legislature, and minority parties has a corresponding meaning. Just want to check if honorable members of the EFF can be afforded a chance to represent other colleagues who belong to minority parties if they are not present. Thanks, Speaker.
Actually, everybody that would feel will be below that category would represent. But let me finish. But also, you can be represented by the EFF yourself. You can be represented by, the DA can be represented by the EFF, and you can be represented. You are all oppositions. The rule, you then go to the rule now. I don't know why you are making me do the work of your whip, but I will gladly do it. When you go to the rule, Rule 73, say subject to sub-rule 2, a member may take charge of a motion or an order of the day in the absence of the member in charge, provided that he or she has, no, it's not only motions, read it properly, motion or an order of the day. It also speaks to debates. Of the member in charge, provided that he or she has been authorized to do so. So, sub-rule 2 is where the speaker has framed a ruling that is different. It doesn't speak of parties per se. I thought that I must clarify you that DA would represent you properly. EFF will represent you properly. Honorable Alex H. Kangwamadlala, the chairperson of Human Settlements. Apologies, ma'am, for calling you earlier on. You've got 10 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, Kuzeni, members of the Executive Council, members of the Legislature, members of the public following us on this virtual platform, Sanbonani Mini. We are encouraged, Honorable Speaker, by Honorable Mazibugo's remarks in relation to the question of land as an enabler to better the lives of our people. We are particularly impressed when Honorable Mazibugo says it is their party's political view that the issue of land is central to the healing of our nation, which the ANC also is the proponent of. It is about time that we as native people stand together and fight tooth and nail against the injustices of the past. Like Honorable Mchali has alluded earlier on, the future is better than today. And for us to achieve that, we must focus on addressing key issues like inequality, poverty, and unemployment with much zeal that it desires. Honorable Mayor, you are also correct in making an assertion that our municipalities will probably be a hindrance in addressing the issue as expressed and announced by the MEC. However, it is our view that we need to work together as the legislature to ensure that the invasions you have spoken of are averted at that level. Honorable Manqele, I think you are correct in raising the issue of beneficiary list, and we also support the view that there must be a strict monitoring and evaluation. Honorable Baipeli spoke on behalf of the EFF. I think, Honorable Speaker, I will really be wasting a lot of my time if I were to entertain their views, not because I undermine them, but it's people who just don't come to work. It's people who do not value what has been accorded to them. So I choose not to say anything in that regard. But on the issue of corruption, honorable members, it is the view of the African National Congress at national, in the province, and also the study group of the African National Congress. I think it was Honorable Mchali who actually said to the MEC, we are intolerant of corruption as this 6th Parliament. And we want to say to the honorable members of the House who are somehow perturbed when it comes to issues of corruption in relation to this policy has expressed that they must rest assured that it is in the interest of the African National Congress to deal with corruption wherever it rears its ugly head. And Honorable Xulu, thank you very much for your input. Kuyintokozo kakhulu ke kimi Honorable Speaker ukuba ingxenye yale nkulumo ekhuluma indaba enohlonze yokukhululwa komhlaba ongasetshenziswa abantu bakithi ukuzakhela izindlu zabo ngokwamandla abo futhi ezindaweni ezikahle kubo ukuba bakhulise imindeni yabo. Sibonga kakhulu kumphathiswa uNkonyeni ohola lomnyango basethulele lesi siphakamiso esimsuka waso usomqulu wenkululeko Freedom Charter njengoba asho enkulumeni yakhe ngenyanga efile. Lesi simemezelo sibeka ngokusobala ukuzibophezela kahulumeni wethu ekuthuthukiseni izimpilo zabantu bakithi. Le nkulumo yethu namhlanje somlomo is not a standalone discussion but is an integrated endeavor by the ANC government to enhance quality of life of our people and also bring change in the nature and context of society. It is in the interest of the ANC, Madam Speaker, that all our people live a better life, whereas this is perceived by most of our compatriots as pie in the sky. However, in deploying its tools of analysis correctly, the ANC believes that a better life for all is achievable. One of the very central instruments to enable the realization of this better life for all is access to good land for human settlements to allow the set of social relationships to thrive. Indlela abantu bakithi abahlaliswa ngayo uhulumeni wobandlululo has a bearing on the access to health institutions, education institutions, economic centers, and generally the well-being of our people at all levels. The concept of human settlement is both social and physical, and it can be defined as having two components, a human group and the habitat of this group. This important distinction makes it clear that settlements are not just roads, houses, and other infrastructure. Defined in this way, the issues of human settlements are wide-ranging population, pollution, employment, social welfare, health, and food, as well as some normally understood questions of shelter. The KZN Department of Human Settlements responded to this assertion by developing a policy for the disposal of service sites which have been approved by the Executive Authority in 2018. This is a good step towards radically addressing the imbalances of the past, which resigned Africans in particular and Black people in general into abject poverty and permanent inequality in their own land. The announcement by the Honorable MEC Nkonyeni entails the spirit of the NDP, which aims to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality by 2030. South Africa can realize, I quote, South Africa can realize these goals by drawing on the energies of its people, growing an inclusive economy, building capabilities, and enhancing the capacity of the state, and promoting leadership and partnerships throughout society, close quote. The release of land in the hands of the state to service site is in line with the aspirations of the ANC as captured in its constitution, where it asserts to fight for social justice and eliminate the vast inequalities created by apartheid and system of national oppression. There could have never been an opportune time, Honorable Speaker, for the province to embark on the release of land as announced, other than this time, where COVID-19 has exposed a great need for sustainable and integrated human settlements as a key component of yielding an equal and healthy society. The NDP proposes that a larger proportion of the population should live closer to places of work, and the transport they use to commute should be safe, reliable, and energy efficient. This servicing of sites is about decongesting of densely populated communities, enhancing the revenue input for municipalities, prevention of development of housing in marginal places. We are particularly happy that this opportunity will give back power to our people to building their own houses and in their own pace. Not only does this liberate our people to realize the better life for all as espoused, but it will contribute towards socio-economic development in line with the recovery plan pronounced by His Excellency President Ramaphosa recently by attracting investors in those new human settlements. The ANC has a unique history of advancing the aspirations of South Africans, and this policy advancement is but one example. It is worth noting that the year 2021 uThukela King Cetshwayo and Mngungundlovu will benefit from this program. uThukela will lead through 9 sites already. In uThukela, construction has commenced. A on-site project has been released to the Project Management Inland Region Subdirectorate to facilitate the installation of services and subsequent completion of projects. Servicing is anticipated to be complete by September 2020, but was extended due to COVID-19 delays. KCDM will yield 475 and Mngungundlovu will lead 170 sites respectively. Honorable Speaker, I would like to propose that the department considers a task team to deal with the traditional land which attracts mostly the black middle class desiring to occupy that land. We all know about Emakadini, Umbumbule, Adams Mission, Mgababe, Mhlanga outside, Ngwelezane, Nago Port Danford, ngaphandle kwaseSikhawini, where people are building mansions on unserviced sites. And in most cases, municipalities do not prioritize these areas for bulk supply. We are calling upon the MEC to rein on the issue of capacity in our municipalities, especially at eThekwini and Umsunduzi, since they receive the lion's share of the USDG. Addressing human settlements, Honorable Speaker, where people are, also has a benefit of growing networks and sustainable livelihoods where people are. Kuzosiza kakhulu ke futhi ukuvimbela abantu babasuke ezindaweni zasemakhaya ukuza edolobheni. Kungalekelela kakhulu ukukhulisa umnotho wezindawo abakuzo, kulethe futhi nenhlalakahle kubantu bakithi. Honorable Speaker, the African National Congress is very much excited with this policy, and we think it is about time that we advance the call to deal with special inequalities. Asikho esinye isikhathi esibalulekile njengabantu abakhishwa ebuqileni, as the Bible will attest that when the Israelites were taken out of Egypt, it was God himself who gave them the understanding that they need to plunder the land, gold and silver and everything that is in the land. So it is time that this current government, under the leadership of the ANC, plunders the apartheid system and bring inequality to our people. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The next speaker for 10 minutes is the Honorable MEC Nkonyeni to respond to the debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me start off by appreciating all honorable members who have participated in this debate. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, this is one of those policy instruments in the Department of Human Settlements that is aimed at empowering our people, and it's also aimed at ensuring that we reverse the imbalances of the past. I must appreciate Honorable Mjali for indicating that the department is actually in the quest of ensuring that the ANC manifesto is being implemented through the policy instruments that have been introduced by the Department of Human Settlements. I must also indicate that the Freedom Charter is very clear about what is it that is supposed to be happening. As the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal, we are implementing a number of instruments, and I must assure the House that this one, Honorable Speaker, is a new policy instrument that is being tested by the department. We have indicated a number of sites that are about to be advertised, because I hear honorable members, most honorable members, talking about the beneficiary list. We always refer to the beneficiary list when we talk about RDP allocation. But for this one, we have appointed our own allocations committee, which is composed by the senior management in the Department of Human Settlements, which means we still need to be quite elaborate when discussing about or presenting this policy to the portfolio committee in particular, so that they may also follow this process that we are talking about. Honorable members, I must indicate that it is very, very important for our people to be the owners of their own properties. I really appreciate all what was raised by Honorable Mjali. And with regards to Honorable Mazibuko, nina mhlonishwa mokhuluma ngabo mazakhele. Abo mazakhele baseduze kwamalokishi. In other words, you were somehow supporting what the apartheid regime did to us when it comes to they were totally against racial integration when it comes to spatial integration, whereby people would be allowed to reside in towns. There were townships, and then you decided to support the instrument or to develop an instrument that says it's okay for Black African people to be far off from cities and towns. But they were allocated in those mountainous areas. Like for instance, in my area in Gamalake, sihlalele ematsheni nje, ngoba ngokwenu kwaku right ukuthi sihlale ematsheni mhlonishwa. But for this policy, we are saying we are developing parcels of land. We are servicing parcels of land within the CBDs so that all racial groupings could be accommodated within the CBDs. That is what we are exactly trying to do. Nokuthi ube ne bonded house in a township kuthiwa umazakhele ozoyikhokhela for the next 20 years mhlonishwa. Tina was saying we will subsidize the site, we will subsidize you by giving you that serviced sites. In other words, le mali obozoyikhokha for the next 20 years isizokwehla, and that is not a policy instrument that we are really supporting as the African National Congress. At some stage, fanele ngiyeke ukukhokhela a bonded house kube umuzi wami nje njengoba kufanele ukuthi kwenzeke. So this is a new instrument introduced by the department to close an identified gap for our people who can afford to build for themselves but require assistance with regards to service sites. And for the program to be successful, the size of each site is 400 square meters, which is bigger than that of an RDP site, which is 300 square meters, as this is for persons earning between 3,501 rands and 22,000 rands. And the intention is to have a fixed selling price for sites wherever they are located at below market value for persons earning between those two amounts that I've already alluded to. And in addition, 30% of these sites may be sold to people earning between 22,000 and 40,000 rands at fair market value. Sikwenzelani lokho? We are promoting integration. Ukuthi ingabikho lento ukuthi abahlupheka kakhulu fanele bahlale lapha, abanye fanele bahlale kwenye indawo. We are promoting into ye integration bahlonishwa. Ngakho ke sizoqhubeka nale program yethu. Si appreciate kakhulu Honorable, all honorable members, ngiyafisa nje ukusho ku-honorable mayor ukuthi Amilcar Cabral once said, and I quote, "Tell no lies and claim no easy victories." You seem to be claiming easy victories. It's very surprising to learn today that you have this type of a policy instrument that you proposed in your manifesto. And I am wondering in my mind, what has caused you to change your mind? Because for you, it has been fine if Black people in particular are not accommodated within the CBDs. What has caused you to change this mind? And where then are you implementing this policy instrument? Because look at Cape Town. Look at the informal settlements in Cape Town. Colored people and Black people are still staying far away from the CBD. Yet you are saying in your manifesto, you have embraced this policy instrument.
Honorable MEC, let us pause a little bit. What are you raising on, Honorable Kika? You are raising on 2532G. 2532G.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Deliberately giving false information or evidence or producing a false document or report to the House or any of its committees.
Correct.
Regarding material facts on an issue.
Correct, Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker, the MEC is alluding that the DA suddenly invented something because she didn't see that one. Secondly,
no, sit down, sit down.
No, so
sit
she's
down.
misleading
No,
this.
sit
Kika,
down.
don't waste our time.
Sit down.
This house.
No, Honorable Member.
And Madam,
Honorable Kika.
Madam Speaker, allow me to finish my point. Allow me to finish my point,
Honorable
Madam
Kika. Honorable Kika. Honorable Kika. The MEC is making her point in a debate. She has not even finished. Already you have your own view.
No, Madam Speaker, can you allow me to finish my point?
Even the MEC has not finished what she's saying. That's what I wanted to tell you. I will not be able to know what is it. Continue, Honorable MEC.
Madam Speaker,
sit down, Honorable Kika.
I haven't finished my point of order.
No, it's not a point of order, this one that you are raising on. Actually, it's contempt. It's contempt. It's not point of order.
Madam Speaker, based on Rule 257, I ask you to please provide a ruling on the matter regarding what the MEC said.
That's what I'm saying to you. That MEC is giving a point in her own debate and response to what was said in the House. Allow her to continue making her own response to a debate. It's a debate, sir. Sit down. Honorable MEC, continue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, I was actually referring to what is obtaining in Cape Town right now, where the Democratic Alliance is ruling. People are still racially segregated, you know. You might find, few people within the CBD, but mostly people are still staying, in abject poverty in that other racial groupings. And it's very glaring, very, very, very much glaring. From the airport, you can see that here you will find colored people, Black people, and then when you proceed towards the CBD, then the white people are there in most of the time. So I am saying to you, Honorable Mayor, tell no lies and claim no easy victories. So says Amilcar Cabral. You are still embracing, what the apartheid system had introduced. Okay, Honorable Peli, I will be wasting my time if I can start now responding to your points. You seem to have not had time to conduct your research before participating in this debate. So please, next time, just conduct your research thoroughly. It's a new policy instrument that has been introduced by the department, and we are implementing it.
MEC, thank you, Honorable MEC. Honorable members, thank you. We have now come to the end of the debates. Both debates for today. Thank you for your participation. Honorable MEC Nkonyeni, mute your mic, Honorable Mphathiswa. I want to thank all of you for participating in a debate. I'm glad you are remembering that in a debate you will like some and don't like some. That is what you must remember. What is important is that a debate will remain a debate. The Office of the Speaker has received a report of SCOPA on the COVID-19 procurement, and we forgot to mention it in the tablings. So we are officially tabling that, Honorable. It was not made to be part of the tablings. We are now officially tabling it. The report by SCOPA is now part of the official document of the House. Honorable members, kunesnack senu la members tea area. Please go by and pick up your snack packs and go. We want to say to honorable members, remind you, we know that it's not easy. The longer you stay, I am now also seeing another member that is not putting on a mask. Honorable members, no, it's not you, Joacha, it's Honorable Ohlongo Madlala. Honorable members, the proper way. Honorable Mayor, now you are so close to Honorable Papas, and I'm worried about his family. I'm not even worried about him. I'm worried about his family. You come closer to each other whilst not wearing the masks. We don't know where you have been. When you go home, you will get the virus from your colleague at work and you take it home to the innocent people. Let's protect them. I just want to remind you that let's carry our masks with us and wear them properly. I know it's not comfortable, but it is absolutely necessary. The House is now adjourned until the 30th of October 2020, where we will sit in order to confer our final mandates to NCOP and have an all-important briefing by IEC in preparation for the 2021 local government elections. Honorable members, the House is adjourned.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Well done.